I'm Bob Trask. This is your weekly reset. This is the place where we come to get ourselves kicked into gear for the next week. Today, we're going to talk about love as power. Love, maybe the most misused or misunderstood word in the English language, and I'm sure in any other language as well. Authors, philosophers, poets, singers, they all sing of love, but very few of them define it correctly. Here's what love is not. It's not a romantic feeling between me and someone else. It's not the adoration of a God, like I love God, or I love Jesus, or that's not love. It's not the passionate connection or feeling with any object, like I love my car or I love this house. It's not an emotion regarding any object or any being. And it's also not what they call self-love, feelings of self-worth or self-acceptance. That's not what love is. Love is power, isn't it? It's the purest power and the greatest power. Nothing can be higher than love. And love is the very source of creation. It's creativity itself. It's the power that can transform you and me into total new beings. Imagine that. I can be transformed into a whole new being. You can be transformed into a whole new being through the power of love. Now, once again, we got to be real careful because immediately our minds go to that place. Oh, then what I need to do is start loving people more or being loved about more. No, this power. Forget about this. Forget about this connection between you and me for a while. We'll come back to that. But forget about the connection between you and that sweet pet of yours, or between you and the thing in the world that you love most. Forget about that for just a minute. Just think of it as power. It's pure power, like gasoline. And it's the power of the universe. It's what makes planets rotate around their suns. It's what makes those beautiful nebula in this, oh boy, so beautiful in the eternity somewhere out there in space. It's what makes sunlight. It's when sunlight comes and it creates growth, it creates greenery, and all of those things, all of that is love. It's all love. Don't just stop. Well, let's just stop thinking of it for a minute like it's some kind of juicy, gooey thing between you and me. That's that 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 is one of the results of love, but in itself, it's not love. It's a power that can transform you and me into total new beings by bringing the individual seeds of you and me into their full and ultimate flowering. Because in all of human history, with all the definitions of love that we've read and we've heard, this is the one we've not heard, and it's the only one that's really valid. Love is truth. No, wait a minute. I just said love is power. Well, truth is power. Truth and love are the same thing. Now, yeah, I know you're going to have to get out on the edge of your mental seat to see this, but love and truth are the same thing, and they're both power, and neither one of them has anything to do, and nothing to do at all with romance or with your adoration of a god, or it has nothing to do with any of that. It's constant. You and I can turn on and off this faucet of what we call love, but you can't turn off and on the power of the universe. The power of the universe is going to go on. Now, man may blow himself up with atomic weapons on this planet and be gone. Love's going to go on because love is truth, and truth goes on. And truth is a noun and love is a noun, but they actually both are action words. They're more like verbs. Because truth is marching on. Truth is is action. Love is action. They're the power of the universe. The world around us is changing. It's changing. It's always changing. Always, always, always. It's flowing. It's a flowing state of grace. I know that you want abundance in your life. I want abundance in my life. Starting in January, I'm going to be teaching a 6-week class on abundance. And it's not going to be abundance in money and abundance in this. It's abundance, living an abundant life. And that's what we're talking about today, is abundance in all areas of our lives. That's love. That is love. In all areas of our life, that's truth. That's the truth that we're either in harmony with, we're either in alignment with, or we're not. And if we're not in alignment with it, if we're not in alignment with love, if we're not in alignment with truth, then our lives suffer. And you know that, and I know that. We suffer. We have these discontents within us. We have this person that we love that doesn't treat us with love. We have these people that we're trying to deal with in our lives, and they seem not to care about us. And that in that disruption between the two of us causes us to be in pain because we're not seeing love correctly. Love is not something I get from you. It's not something I get. It's something I give. It's energy. When I am love, then I'm emanating an energy out to you. And I accept you totally and completely, exactly the way you are, and exactly the way you are not. I accept you completely. And I don't have any problems with you. No problems with you. I just accept you, and I see the loveliness of you. You're unique and individual. There's never been, never will ever be another you. You're the only one that's ever existed. And I see that and because I accept you totally, it's like watching a gorgeous flower bloom open into the sun. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. And I'm moved by that. And I'm changed by that, and I'm uplifted by that, by seeing you, by having you in my world. And all the people that are around you, it's the same. You can look around at all the people in your world, and if you can see them, truly see them, not through your filters, but truly see them through the eyes of love. Holy smokes, you're seeing the garden. You're seeing each one of those people are unique and different and so beautiful, so unique and so authentic, so authentic. And that's seeing through the eyes of love. We do want abundance in all areas of our life. That's what we want. But we can't have it unless we get ourselves out of the way. Get ourselves out of the way and be love, feel love, flow with love. And that can't happen when we're out of truthfulness with our beings. Because you are love. And when you're not being love, then you're out of truthfulness with your being. And when you're out of truthfulness, you're going to have pain. Because people are going to break your heart. People are going to disappoint you. Things are going to fall apart. Things are not going to go the way you want them to go. And you're going to be in reaction to that because you're vulnerable. And you're vulnerable because you're not one with the universe. You don't have your power turned on. Krishnamurti, great thinker, great philosopher. Krishnamurti said, the moment you have in your heart this extraordinary thing called love and feel the depth, the delight, the ecstasy of it, you'll discover for you that the world is transformed. You know that's true. Think of that. You can transform your world. I can transform my world by just but just by the act of loving. All my dreams can come true, all of them. Through the act of loving, yes. But are we humble enough to toss all our old ideas of love out and embrace this true one? Are we ready to do that? Are we ready to live our lives at their fullest as they were meant to be lived? Today we can have what we want. We can have what we want if we can simply accept that love is the pathway to complete abundance. So I was I do spirit quests, and people go out after days of uh, of classes and being together. They go out alone and naked into the wilderness, and they stay out there for a period of time, maybe a day, maybe 24 hours, or maybe 2 or 3 days, or whatever. And there was a woman in one of my spirit quests on the island of Molokai, and we were all they were all to spread out and go out into the forests alone, and they're completely, totally alone when they're out there. There's nobody, not absolutely no soul around them, and she was to go out alone, and she said in that first night she laid through the night terrified. She could hear sounds, she could hear noises, and she was terrified that something was coming, something was going to get her. And in the morning, when she woke up and opened her eyes, sitting on a limb just above her was a bird she said was no bigger than her thumb. And that little bird, no bigger than her thumb, was just looking at her, putting its head back and forth and looking at her. And she looked at that bird and she thought, that little tiny bird that I could end just with a flip of my finger, that would destroy it totally. Just a flip of my finger. That's how vulnerable it is. That little soft, tiny bird lives its entire life out here, and it's not afraid. And I'm this great, big, powerful, intelligent being laying here, and I'm afraid. And she said, for that was the last of my fear. And what happened to her then is that, and what happens to everyone that goes out on one of these quests, is that they become one with what is, one with nature. With nature. Nature's what is. Capital N on nature, please. We want to talk about God, just call it nature and make capital. And these people that are out there, they finally shed. They're naked to begin with. They walk out of camp, they're clothed, but when they get out far enough so they know they'll never see another person, they take off all their clothes, and the rest of the time they're out there, they're naked. And they're not, I say naked as though that's something. No, clothes are something. Naked isn't something. Naked is the way we are. Everyone on the planet's naked. They just have clothes over the top of their nakedness. And so these people are out there completely naked, and so all the birds and animals, everything else is naked too, and they're naked, and everything's naked, and the trees are naked, and the cactus are naked. Everything's naked, and they're just being one with everything. And after a period of time, they're no longer strangers. They no longer feel like, oh my God, I'm out in this strange place. No, they don't. It's not a strange place. After a while, they feel home, and then they don't want to come back. And I know, because I've done dozens and dozens of these, and I never want to come back. I never want to come back. I finally found where I truly belong. I don't want to come back. And that's love. That's love. That's living in love. That's being one with what is, one with nature. And the power. God, I remember one time I was walking along. It was in the Arizona Mexico desert. I was walking along, and there was a fox, and he was hunting for a mouse or something, and he was next to this bush. And I walked, and if I kept walking straight, I would walk within like 3 feet of him. So I just kept walking. And when I walked by 3 feet from him, he just looked at me and then went back to what he was doing. But he wasn't the least bit afraid of me. And I was laying in a little arroyo bottom, arroyo, Spanish word for a creek bottom, for a little washout where the water comes through. I was laying in this little arroyo, and there was a tree just a little ways up the arroyo from me, and it was just a snaggy dead tree, and there was a covey of quail would come and roost in that tree. And at night they would have a sentinel would be in the top watching out for anything that could come and bother the flock as they were all sleeping. And in the morning he would signal them all, and they would come down out of the tree, and then they would run down the arroyo to go wherever they're going to feed that day. But I was now sleeping in the arroyo, and when they ran right over the top of me. They had paid absolutely no attention. That whole covey of quail just bloop, 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 right over the top of me, and I'm just watching them go. And in the evening, bloop, 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 they came right back. When you become one with truth, one with love, there are no strangers. There's nothing that doesn't belong in my life, in your life. Rhonda Byrne said, "There's no greater power in the universe than the power of love." Let's think about all the wars that are going on right now. Now, all of those wars are intended to get other people to see our way, to see into our viewpoint. So the Christians and the Muslims and the communists and the capitalists and the Jews are all trying to convert the world to their way of thinking, and we're trying to do so by killing them. Oh, that works. It's obvious to even the smartest child that I can't win someone over to my way of thinking by assaulting them. Then why do we try? We try because it makes great amounts of money for the industrialists. And because that's the way we've always done things. That's the way we've always done things. We've fallen in love with addiction. Pardon me using the word love there. We're addicted to addiction. We're addicted to hostilities. We're addicted to war. That's if you and I disagree, I get angry at you. I get hurt. Then I become righteously indignant. What is that? It's nonsense. Yeah, I love pets. God, you can insult a dog or insult a cat, and they just keep right coming back loving you. They don't know not to love. They just don't know that. They don't know about that. We human beings, we're superior. We know about shutting off our love, shutting off our hearts, shutting off our flow of nature. If our way of government and our spiritual beliefs were better than someone else, then wouldn't love be the way to demonstrate that? Wouldn't it? If I'm having a problem with somebody and we're at odds, wouldn't the best way to win them over be to just through absolute, honest, truthful love? If there's any chance to melt them, wouldn't it be through love rather than threatening them, rather than being having my guard up? And what if by loving them they still disagree? Can't we share this galaxy with other people who are dissimilar from us? Can't we share this galaxy with them? But if some people are going to be watching this, are going to be saying, "Oh boy, is he naive?" I'm not naive. I am a lot of things, but I'm not naive. I've been to the mountain many times. I know that it'll take years and years and years to heal all the wounds and the distrust that exists between us. I know that. But wouldn't a course of love, of kindness, and generosity eventually gain us universal friendship? Mary and I were in Moscow for a few weeks. and this was back before glasnost or perestroika, when we were back when when we were still declared enemies with Russia, with the Soviet Union. Soviet Union doesn't exist anymore. And when at that time we were in Moscow in this few weeks, young people would come up to us and say, please, Americans, don't bomb us. We only want to be your friends. We were really struck by that. the people the people of Russia weren't our enemies. Our government and their government were enemies. Our president and their prime minister or president or whatever they were enemies, but we weren't enemies. We were all just human beings on this planet, and we all wanted the same things. We all wanted abundance in our lives. We wanted abundance of love, abundance of family, abundance of health, abundance of joy for our children, abundance of well-being, a sense of well-being, not going hungry, not being able, always knowing that you have a bed to sleep in and a roof over your head, and you can be warm, and that you can laugh and be joyful. Abundance of that. They all wanted the same thing we want. Some of the greatest authors ever, Tolstoy, Dostoevsky, are Russian. The greatest musicians, the greatest composers, Russian. Well, we all listen to their music. We all read their books. How can we be that different? And yet, once again, we're enemies now. What does that mean? That is nonsense. It is total, complete nonsense. Can't we live in this galaxy together? Are we so afraid of communism? God, we started all these wars because we thought communism was going to take over the world. If our way of government is better than communism, we don't have to worry about communism taking us over. But if our way of government is not as good or as fragile, then maybe we need to have a war with them. That's nonsense. The young people that came up to us on the streets and on a boat going across a river, those little kids and young people coming up to us, their government's not hearing them. And our government's not hearing our young people. And John Lennon said it right. Love, love, love. All you need is love. Love is all you need. Remember him saying that in the song? Love is all you need. All you need is love. That's not John's Pollyanna way of thinking. That's not looking at the world through rose-colored glasses. Love is truth with a capital T, capital T. The opposite is an end game for our world. It's thinking through a filter that's pessimistic, hopeless, and cynical. Hey, we're better than that. We know we're better than that. We're bigger than that. We're bigger than hostilities. We're love. You and I are shedding billions and billions of cells every day. Billions of cells dying and falling away and being replaced by new cells. Hopefully new, robust, young cells being coming back into our bodies. That's love. That's the power of love. That's the power of creation. That's the power of the universe. That's the power of nature. That's love. That's love. And you and I, if we are love, then we are flowing with that nature, and we're flowing that nature out into our world. And it's touching other people, and it's touching animals, and it's touching the galaxy, and it's touching the plants, and it's touching the sea and the animals in the sea, and it's touching sea grasses and the meadows and the jungles and the forests, and it's touching life. Or we can be taking away from it. We can be a dark hole. We can be sucking the energy out of that. And I know that's not what we want. So what do you want? What do I want? Individually, what would fulfill us? What do we want that we don't have? How can our individual lives, yours and mine, be made better? How can we have all we want? Let's be sure that those wants are not from greed, but from desiring the resources necessary to fulfill our lives, to fulfill our individual destinies, our life's missions. What would that be for you? What do you need to fulfill your destiny, to fulfill your life's missions? What if it's available right now? What if it's available? It's available through the power of the universe. If it's flowing through you, and it can't be flowing through you as long as you have barriers up of hostility. Here's an example. If I'm a salesperson, now I'm trying to sell people things. So they come into my shop or my office or wherever. And now my job is to sell because that's how I make my money. That's how I make a living. I got to sell. I'm on a commission. I got to sell. I go and knock on doors and people open the door and I have to sell something to them. Now that person, that customer has been conned and lied to and manipulated and oftentimes cheated again and again and again and again. And they watch TV commercials. TV commercials are all manipulative. They show this splendid family driving along through the snowstorm and the big pet dog that's just lovely, and the children in the back seat, and mom and dad smiling back and forth at each other. And it's a whole thing is just beautiful. And they come out on a cliff bank and they get out and they're looking off at the sunset, and it's all so wonderful. And it's to sell the car. Has nothing to do with all that nonsense that I just talked about. It's to sell the car. It's called transference. So we're supposed to look at all this crap and then transfer that into the value of the car. And they do that all the time. That's manipulation. And you've been manipulated, and I've been manipulated constantly. So now here comes a customer, and I'm a salesperson, and my job is to sell them. What if I said I'm not going to sell them anything? I'm going to make things available for them to buy, but if they don't want to buy, that's up to them. What I am going to do is I'm going to love them. I'm not going to love them so they'll buy something. That's manipulation. I'm going to love them because that's my brother or my sister. That's my fellow human being. And if I really love them and watch them and really listen to them, I'm going to hear things that I never have heard before because there's no other person like that ever on the planet. So I'm going to learn something from that person. Something really beautiful is going to happen to me. So I'm going to watch them and I'm going to listen to them. And my eyes are going to open. And I'm going to ask them about where did they come from and how about their history and how many different ethnic bloodlines do they have running through them. And I'm going to learn about them and I'm going to love them. And they're going to feel loved by me. They're going to feel the love power, the power of the universe flowing through me into them. They're going to feel that. And I'm going to say, oh, incidentally, I'm supposed to be selling you something. So here's what I've got. I've got this, 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 and this. And here's the value of these things. And I bought this and this because I really think they're valuable. And so what of these things might you be interested in? Now they're not manipulated anymore. Now their minds are open. Now their hearts are open. Now they'll be willing to buy something. I've given this talk to some of the largest corporations on the planet. And some of them could hear me and some of them could not. So the truth is that my customer and I need to discover each other. And we just need to discover each other and not hustle anybody. So can we today just redefine the word love and its meaning to us? Can we move beyond our ego attachments to the word and see it instead as the truth, the power, the ultimate flow of the universe, of creation, of creativity, of health, of wealth? It was Jesus, the great master teacher. Someone said, why did you come here? And he said, I come that you might have life and have it more abundantly. Incidentally, he didn't say I came to keep you from going to hell. Such nonsense. He said, I come that you might have life and have it more abundantly. So only when we come to understand love as truth, as the one power that creates, links, and harmonizes all universes in all places, in all times, forever, will we be able to bring our entire human family back to the garden. Back to the garden. So can we just do that? Ensure that all the future children of this galaxy might live full and meaningful lives and live without fear. Aren't they tired of living in fear? And isn't fear the absence of love? And can't we just bring that power back to bear? Pierre Teilhard de Chardin, great philosopher, one of my heroes, said, when human beings truly discover the power of love, it will prove more important than the harnessing of fire. When humans truly discover the power of love, it will prove more important than the harnessing of fire. You and I can do that. You and I can make a difference in this world. We have a little bit of time left. Let's use that time to make a difference. Nachman of Breslov said, let the good in me connect with the good in others. Let the good in me connect with the good in others. Until all the world is transformed through the compelling power of love. Through the compelling power of love. I can do that. I can. And I commit to you this week that I will do that. I will live love. I will be love. I commit that to you. Can you commit to? And let's go forward and see if we can turn the lights on in the world this week of joy, this week where Hanukkah begins, this week of Christmas. I love you. I send you with my love. Please stop by my website, bobtrask.com. And if you wouldn't mind leaving a donation, Christmas present, Hanukkah present, I'd appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you. Thanks for being with me, and I'll see you next week.